Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday night. This is Political Hot Seat, and we do have a candidate tonight. It is for the district attorney. It's the district attorney himself, Brian Kunzi, who's also running for re-election. But this is a live call-in show at 727-8750. Once again, 727-8750. So any questions you wish to ask, as long as they're not out of line, you could call in and ask, because I definitely will not be the one to ask them for you. So if you want something answered, you need to call it in yourself. Most of the questions I have is, why would he want to go through 4 more years of this? So anyway, we will now go to the candidate and the district attorney, Mr. Brian Kunzi. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kunzi.
Well, thank you, Bill. I enjoy it. I always enjoy this program.
Okay. But why? Once again, I know we went over this once before, but people may not have been watching then. People might not be watching tonight. There's a football game on, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm missing the football game, I know.
Anyway, but why so much interest in running for district attorney again?
Honestly, I love this job. You can't find a better job out there. One of the things I talk about, as far as being a district attorney in a smaller county, you have to be involved in so much that goes on, both the criminal side, the prosecution, of course, everybody is very familiar with that. But then it's also, being the legal counsel for the county and really getting involved in a lot of activities. And it is so much fun to really be in the heart of, really trying to make a difference for the community. And I think the district attorney's office is one of those that I think is very critical. Because of what you can bring to the table to really see that things are improving and making improvements in the community that's going to make this place a better place to live.
Okay, well, I'm not here to argue with you or anything, but when he said a smaller county, he was talking about population-wise. Because aren't we the second or third largest county in the United States?
Actually, we're the third largest county, and what's interesting is I remember looking at it one time, and I think we're actually bigger than about 7 states.
Right.
Population-wise, yes, we're smaller, but we certainly have our challenges, which also I think is really what makes my job as district attorney so much fun, is because no day is ever the same. And I have to deal with diverse issues of, right now we're in the middle of fighting a major bankruptcy action with the Nye Regional Medical Center, trying to do something up in Tonopah with things that are happening in Pahrump. So wow. It's a very interesting, diverse county.
For the people out there that watch this on YouTube, or even the people that live in Nye County that don't realize it, the other day I ran across you having lunch and that, you just came from Tonopah. The driving distance to Tonopah, I know what it is. I've been up there and back a couple of times, but for people like, let's say, my brother back in Illinois and that, they don't realize how long does it take you to get to Tonopah driving and back?
Well, it's a 2.5 hour drive. I mean, it's a good whack, and most people on the East Coast, they have no clue, because I can remember I went to college in Indiana, and I actually when I was on active duty in the Army, I was in Indiana, so I've got a lot of friends in Indiana, and we had some Indiana friends call us when we were living up in Reno, and said, well, we're going to be in Las Vegas. They were wondering if they could hook up with us at the airport, and I kind of laughed, saying, you do realize that's like a 7-hour drive?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I thought you were in the same state.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people don't know, how vast it is.
Well, I know, like, where I was born at in Rock Island, Illinois, to go to Chicago was closer than you going from here to Tonopah. And I was on the west side of Illinois, and that's on the east side of Illinois. So you drive across the whole state of Illinois at the same time it takes you to get to Tonopah.
Well, and living in Indianapolis, you can pretty much get out of the state of Indiana in any direction in not more than about an hour and a half.
Well, yeah, you cut right over to Illinois.
But I say it's one of those things where living back there, Cincinnati was 2 hours away. St. Louis was like 3 or 4 hours away.
Yeah.
No one would ever dream of driving that. But out here, we just don't even think about it.
Right. Yeah, I know. I had a couple of the people running for county clerk, and they told me that we're 18,100 square miles or something like that. And I thought, wow, that's probably bigger than the whole state. You get back to Rhode Island and that, they wouldn't even dream of that. I mean, that's, but anyway, our phone number is 727-8750. And I know Mr. Kunzi has been very busy as district attorney of late. A lot of things going on in the world out here, out west out here.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting summer, to say the least. But yeah, there's a lot of activities, and like I said, we get involved in a lot of things in the office. So yeah, we stay very, very busy. We're not suffering from boredom, that's for sure.
I believe we need to go to a break. No, okay. All right, we'll continue on. I just seen something pop up. Anyhow, yeah, I know this summer really seems, and this political season seems to be dragging on forever. And I know how tough it is. You went through a primary, now you're going to go through the general, and it's a lot of hardships for you and the family, or not? I mean, you got all these meet and greets to go to, but yet you got all this traveling across the county.
Well, the thing is, it's very challenging, and what I find interesting is, before I became district attorney, I worked in the Attorney General's office in Las Vegas for 12 years.
I know.
And, I did that commute every day, but I actually found that I had a whole lot more time to do campaigning, even though I was driving back and forth from Las Vegas. I really thought, this would be a lot easier because I don't have to leave home.
Right.
And I'm here, but now I find, with the commitments of the job, it is certainly making it a challenge to get out there. But I think campaigning, in a lot of respects, I don't know that, you go to a lot of events, but, I guess partly I feel that, I'm campaigning every day when I'm just doing my job. And, I think it's important for me to continue doing my job, and I just, hope that, the voters, see the job that I'm doing, and,
Well, you're on a double-edged sword. I mean, most of the voters see that you're doing a good job, but then, of course, there's going to be the ones that didn't like your outcome that they're going to be out there in full force as loud as can be because they're mad about what happened. So you can't win that way, I mean, because...
but the reality of it is I have to do what I have to do.
Right.
It's like, yes, we prosecute people, and people are going to be angry about it.
Right.
That's just the way it is. But quite frankly, I know I've got enemies out there, and I'm getting to the point where I think I need to change my first name to Dump Kunzi, with the sign that's on 160.
Oh.
But
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had some relative come in town or something like that. I didn't know.
Well, but that's a prime example of, here's an individual that we, filed charges against, and he wants to exercise his First Amendment rights, and that just comes with the territory.
Right.
But, quite frankly, I don't really worry about those type of things. That, I'm doing what is ethical, what is fair, what is right. And, again, people are going to, get stung by what we're doing. But I'm never going to back off of doing what I think is the right thing to do.
Well, that's the same case for most people in the judicial part of the, the politics, because no matter if you're a judge or JP or district attorney or what you are, you always have somebody that's not. When two people go to court, one's not happy, the other one is. You can't satisfy them both most of the time.
Well, and I just go back to, when I ran 4 years ago for this position, I made it very clear that I have an aggressive personality. I'm going to try to solve problems. And I've always told people, I said, look, we can discuss it, but I'm not going to be afraid of making a decision. I'm going to make a decision, and it may be the wrong decision. But I don't really worry about that, because if it turns out to be the wrong decision, I can make another decision and fix it. And that's kind of my overall attitude. What drives me crazy is that you have, someone who just sits back and does nothing, and then we're never going to see any improvement if you just sit back and do nothing. So yes, I do that, and like I said, I tell people all the time that you have to be careful that when you ask me a question, you better want the answer, because I will give you an answer. And you may not like the answer, but I do believe you have an opportunity or a right to know what my answer is. And I'm never afraid of expressing that.
All right, well, we do have a caller on the line. It's Amy. Amy, are you still there, and can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Kunzi, I would like a sign to put in my yard if you have one. And I want to thank you for all of your support that you give the community, especially to CASA. And my question involves these cases that might be prosecuted by your office after they get to you and they've been investigated by the police detectives. It seems sometimes that the cases turn around and there's plea bargaining. Can you explain how that happens?
Well, unfortunately, we have to do plea bargains. We get about 2,000 referrals a year on cases. Right now, for us to really get from start to finish to do a jury trial is really going to take us, because of the number of cases that we're filing and putting into the system, it's going to take us close to 2 years to get a trial date. So a lot of times we will do plea bargains just because we simply have to, because we can't try that many cases. If we were to try every single case that we file on and wait for a jury trial, we're going to be waiting 10 years, 15 years to get a case to trial. And I don't think that's efficient, and I think it's bad for the victims to have to suffer through that. So one of the things that I think people have to understand is that we have to plea bargain our cases, but we get some very good plea deals, and we have the number of cases, and particularly some of the more serious sexual offenses and things of that nature. We've put people in prison for life off of a plea deal. And if I can make a deal that I know I'm going to put somebody in prison for a life, I don't necessarily care what exactly the charge is that they're pleading to. And so we kind of take that approach that as long as we're getting what we want out of that case, we'll offer whatever deal we can to get to that. Because again, partly, and I said, in particular with these sexual offense crimes, to put a victim through a trial really should be a last resort if I can get a good deal that I know is going to put that guy away for a long time.
Okay, Amy, if you need a sign put up, if you leave your phone number with our engineer, so that way Brian could call you back, or somebody working in his campaign could call you back to find your address and that. He'd probably appreciate that.
I do appreciate that, yes.
And yeah, anytime you get a sign up in a person's yard and that, I think it holds more than having them out on the highway and that, to where people run into them and that. But, so plea deal, you feel that if you're going to get a sufficient verdict, just go ahead and save taxpayers' money, save you time, and save the judge time, and the county clerk, and everybody else, right?
We're saving a lot of time and saving a lot of money. And like I said, it is a reality. I think a lot of times people will run for district attorney, and they'll sit there and talk about how they're not going to plea bargain. And I think, quite frankly, if anybody says that, they're demonstrating that they have no idea how the system works. Because again, we could not physically try every case that we charge. And so, again, it's one of those things that, I think as a prosecutor that you get a good sense of knowing what the judges will do.
Right.
You really think what's fair, for the victim in the case. And if we can get that type of result without putting the victims, through testimony, we call 100 people in for jury duty. There's a lot of time and expense involved in it. And if I can avoid all of that, I think I really have an obligation to do that. And like I said, we've had just a very large number, and I'm very pleased with the results we get from our plea bargain. I think you really can't criticize plea bargaining unless you actually look at what the result is that's coming from it.
All right, well, we need to go on a break here, and we'll be right back after these messages.